All right, y'all. This next one, man. This next one's a doozy. So we got the Bills and the Chiefs. Another one we picked correctly here. The Bills get a victory, another regular season victory over the Chiefs. They seem to do pretty well at getting that. Just in the playoffs, they had those issues beating them. But another win. Bills move up to 7-6. But of course, the biggest thing from this game that we saw was, of course, the penalty on Kadarius Toney at the end of the game. Lateral from Travis Kelce. Amazing touchdown. Gets called back because he's offsides. And Patrick Mahomes, at the end of the game, with all due respect, lost his mind.
Yeah, so we will definitely be getting into that. There's no avoiding the outcome of this game, the aftermath of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid's reaction to this game. So we'll start traditional. We'll give you an episode of The Last Word here, but then we will get into the post game antics for sure. So to start off with, let's see how the Bills are able to pull this off. It's a close game, a narrow win, 20-17. Josh Allen, Mr. January himself, goes 23 for 42. 233 yards, one touchdown, one pick. Kind of inevitable that he ends up throwing a pick. 32 rushing yards, though, and a touchdown. So overall, a pretty good day for him. He's kind of almost the whole offense. I say almost because James Cook decided he was going to be the whole offense. He gets 58 yards on the ground, 83 yards in the air, has 141 total yards. He would also catch a touchdown in the air. James Cook and Josh Allen put on a show, came through and kind of took over this game. Dawson Knox was second in receiving with 36 yards, so like 50 behind James Cook. I guess Josh and Cook just had that connection going on yesterday afternoon. Had a pretty good game together. Taron Johnson recovered a Rashee Rice fumble. Unfortunate for the rookie, who otherwise had a pretty good game on his part. And then AJ Epineza actually was able to pick off Patrick Mahomes. And speaking of Patrick Mahomes, him and Josh Allen had eerily similar stat lines. Mahomes has like 40 more yards, but they're still pretty close. So Josh Allen went 23-42. Patrick Mahomes goes 25 for 43, 271 yards. He also throws a touchdown and also throws one interception. So very similar to Josh Allen. He just doesn't have the rushing game, but we don't usually expect that out of Mahomes anyway. He just that's not really his play style. He will run, but he's not going to, racking up 30 yards isn't in the usual for him. No slight against him there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire led the Chiefs on the ground in Isaiah Pacheco's absence with 39 yards. Jarrett McKinnon, we got 19 yards and a touchdown, though. So that's where they get a little bit going on for them there. Travis Kelce led the Chiefs in the air with 83 yards. Rashee Rice was just behind him, just behind him-ish, with 72 yards, not far at all, and a touchdown. As I said earlier, Rice did fumble, but pretty good game for the rookie. He's had a good connection with Patrick Mahomes amidst the receiver troubles that they've had over there in Kansas City this year. And then Jamari Connor would be the defensive player responsible for the once-a-week Josh Allen interception. This one doesn't end up costing the Bills too much, but he does seem to be inevitable. I think I saw something. He's had like 9 straight games with a pick, which is not amazing. Their record definitely demonstrates that can be pretty costly, but they survived this one here. And now, without further ado, we'll get into the rest of the game. Though the season is not over, Terrence and I are going to be announcing a prestigious award tonight. We decided that voting is closed before the rest of the season. Kadarius Toney will take the 2023-2024 NFL Tomfoolery MVP award after another blunder this season. We're just going to go ahead and close off voting. I think it's pretty undisputed. Got a few drops in the earlier parts of the season, cost them a win against the Lions. And in this one, man, he lined up essentially with Von Miller. It was bad. He was pretty egregiously offsides, and you don't see offensive offsides very often, but he was offside. And one of the refs said after the game, like, yeah, we'll give him a warning, but if it's that egregious, we can't see the football, you're not gonna. No need for a warning. And the flag was thrown. The play happened. It gets called back. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. The play is really, really good. We get a pass to Travis Kelce. He starts running. 3 dudes come at him. He throws a perfect lateral pass to Kadarius Toney to escape 3 men while running. Just a beautiful pass to be thrown from a tight end. And Toney has a wide open lane in front of him. Gets straight down to the end zone. It seems like it would be game over because there's barely any time left. It'd take a miracle for the Bills to get all the way down and score after that. Not that they can't do it, but the way this game went, I just felt like that would probably be it. Unfortunately, though, that call would stand. I mean, he's offsides. The play has to be reversed. So the game's not over though. They do get one more play, and they would end up being stopped on that play anyway. That would be the end of the game. But boy, do the Chiefs have differing opinions than what seems to be most of the world. Whereas most people have been pretty much on Tony as an NFL receiver. Really professional talent. He's been playing football since presumably high school at the very least, probably earlier. You should be able to know lining up offsides at least that bad to be that far ahead where he was. I mean, it was pretty rough. The Chiefs, however, have blown up. Patrick Mahomes told Josh Allen when he shook his hand that was one of the worst calls he's ever seen. He stated multiple times that he's never seen an offensive offsides in his 7 years in the league. Andy Reid had some similar comments to make. Me personally, I think I've made it pretty clear. I'd put this more on Kadarius Toney. I mean, good on him for getting the ball and getting into the end zone on the trick play. But at the end of the day, he was egregiously offside. I mean, he's super far ahead, and you got to call that. I've actually seen where he was a little further offside, or about the same level of offside in a few other plays in the game. Maybe you can argue, well, they didn't call those, so they shouldn't have called this one. I would argue that they should probably all be called. And it's good that this one ends up being called. It sucks that it takes away such a fun football play. But the Chiefs have lost their mind. Patrick Mahomes said that Travis Kelce's Hall of Fame legacy was hurt because of this highlight being not playable, I guess. I don't know. I hope they've woken up with some clarity. I'm sure there's still going to be some anger about the call. But at the end of the day, it's a fair call. And Kadarius Toney is again, our 2023-24 NFL tomfoolery MVP. Congratulations to Kadarius Toney, and congrats to the Bills for a win that puts them back into the playoff picture, especially as the AFC South decided that they were not going to show up this week.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the game. Besides just the foolishness at the end there, the real story here is the first half. The Chiefs pretty much did nothing. Interception on the first drive, they got tipped up and then intercepted there. When they were driving down the field, the next couple drives, or next 3 drives, I should say, all ended in punts. One at their own 23, one drive ended at their own 27, and then one drive ended at their own ended at the 39, of Buffalo. Which that one I was wondering, I was like, maybe they could try a field goal, but they decided not to. And they started out with a 1st and 10 at the 37, if I remember correctly, and looking at this. So it's like, that drive kind of screwed up because they were actually able to drive on that one and get down the field pretty well. Had a big pass to Travis Kelce for like 20-something yards, and then another pass for 18 yards to Justin Watson. And then after that, literally nothing. That was another wasted opportunity. So the thing about the Chiefs offense, it seems like now, unless you get those big plays of Travis Kelce, it's just not, or Pacheco every so often getting some kind of big play. It's just the offense is just not really moving. I mean, there's not really much going on there. You get the Travis Kelce 20-yard reception, or somebody will randomly get a big play for the Chiefs. One of those receivers, which we'll talk about for sure in a second here. But outside of that, it's offense as of late. It's just not really doing much. Even some of the games that they won recently, which haven't been much, they've lost 4 out of 6 now after starting 8-1. Even in the games that they won, like there have been times where the offense just did nothing. Certain points of the game, especially the second half, we can talk about that Dolphins game. They went up so fast, so early, and then they did nothing in the second half, but they were still able to pull it out. And basically, since then, I mean, the offense has just not been fantastic. So I think that's a lot of the storyline that should be coming out of this game. I think just the fact that Patrick Mahomes literally lost his mind at the end of the game, which we've never seen him really. You've never really even seen him get actually angry. I think he complains about calls a little bit more this year. At least it's a lot more noticeable now. But never really seen him get mad before, and that's obviously that. With what he said after the game too, with Andy Reid, what he said, the Kadarius Toney penalty itself. all that's kind of just overshadowing the fact that the Chiefs' offense is basically just outside of those big plays and a couple drives where they actually get something going. It's just not really existent.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this game aside from the ending. If the Chiefs play a little more competent offense in the first half, well, we maybe don't see this. I mean, the Bills could stay at the same pace, and the Chiefs just need one touchdown or field goal to make this either a win or an overtime game. So I mean, you got that going in this one. It's just kind of a weird. This offense just has not been what we've seen in previous seasons. And Terrence and I have kind of been saying that all year. As much as the Chiefs have won, we've been consistently saying like they're winning. They're definitely like a good team. But it's just not all there. The offense is not just the high flying, flashy offense that we're used to. And a lot of it comes because I think that right now, if you don't get a big throw to Travis Kelce, if you don't get a big pass to Rashee Rice, if you don't get a 40-yard explosion from Isaiah Pacheco, who was out this game, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it's kind of nothing happens. So, if you're looking to throw a quick pass here or there, teams seem to be able to kind of lock in on that, and they're like, hey, we can put a hold on that. We can live with that. You can pick up 2 yards here, 2 yards here, 2 yards there, and then punt. We're not gonna be too mad about it. So I don't know. Obviously, they got it together in the second half a little bit. They get down. Well, they scored a touchdown before halftime, and then they get down and score a touchdown right after halftime. So it looks like they're getting something going. And let's get back to the same old. They fumble, they punt, or they fumble. They get a field goal, and then things would go downhill from there. As they would punt and turn it over on downs on the event that we just covered. Bills played a good gritty game in this one, though. I mean, as much as we're going to talk about the Chiefs, the way the Chiefs lost this game, the Bills still played a pretty good football game. I mean, they come out, they punt on their first drive, but they did get a pick on Mahomes, so they start off pretty hot on defense, and their offense comes out and they score a touchdown. They score another touchdown, and they would remain at 14 for a while until they get a field goal right after halftime, and they get that field goal closer to the end of the game, when it was 17-17 to make it 20-17. You're in a scary position. The defense starts to kind of lock in, and you got the lateral thing that happens, and then they call it back. And you actually have a few more plays from there. And it's just incomplete pass as Von Miller makes a stop, incomplete pass as Ed Oliver makes a stop. The Chiefs call a timeout, then the Bills call a timeout, and then there's another incomplete pass, and that is the game. So, I mean, their defense locks in when they need to. I think the Bills played a gritty but clean game in this one, where they come out and do everything they need to against this Kansas City Chiefs team. I think they found the weaknesses to exploit in this Chiefs team, and they held strong. And they make the AFC picture definitely crazy, because the Bills are 7-6, the Broncos are 7-6, and the Chiefs are 8-5. So both these two teams are only a game behind the Chiefs, which would be crazy. They both have a win over the Chiefs. The Broncos also have a loss to the Chiefs. So this was definitely not one the Chiefs want to take. They don't seem to have the hardest schedule coming up for the end of their season. So, it's maybe not panic time, but there's definitely some offensive inconsistencies that can be exploited in a playoff scenario. I mean, I would not want, if I was a Chiefs fan, to see this offense have to go up against the Bills defense, the current Broncos defense, the Ravens defense in the playoff scenario. I just think those are all bad outcomes one way or the other. So, yeah, there's tomfoolery in this game. We get some crazy stuff from Patrick Mahomes being more vocal than I think he's ever been at the end of a loss, going crazy about the referees. I actually just saw a thing a little bit ago about Andy Reid saying that he acknowledged that Kadarius Toney was offside, and that they're going to work on teaching Toney to check with the referees before the plays, which is crazy.
Oh my God.
For an NFL player. That's a little wild, but at least they're maybe coming to their senses after their meltdown yesterday. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, that helmet's probably not in good condition. The ground that he was hitting is definitely, there's definitely a hole there now. He was mad, and I understand the anger. You've done a lot that you could do to make the game winnable, especially in the second half. I mean, the Chiefs fought to win this game. At the end of the day, though, there's just offensive inconsistencies that got the best of them in the first half and started to kind of swallow them up towards the end of the second half. And I just think that Bills, despite the controversial ending the game, which doesn't really seem to be that controversial unless you're a Chiefs player. Chiefs fans have also not been too bad about it, and they've have eyes and have seen what happened. End of the day, the Bills were just the better team yesterday afternoon. They were better on offense, they were better on defense, and they came out with a gritty victory over what seems to be kind of a budding rival for them. And I'm sure this will add fuel to that fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the Bills had the greatest second half either. That first drive they went all the way down the field. Um, Took darn near half the quarter off the clock, but they got a field goal out of it. And then the next, handful of drives, they basically did nothing. It's 7 yards, -8 yards, -6 yards. Chief defense clamped up, like they've been doing, a good part of this year. But that last drive, I figured, hey, they if the Bills were able to get that last conversion on third down, I think they probably would have just ran out the clock at that point. Um, so I think the Bills the Bills are in a weird spot because again they are 7-6, and then because of who they've lost to, the said on the broadcast, it's not going to be an easy road. You're really gonna they want to win out, right? Or at least go 3-1 in these last 4 games. It's just going to be hard with how everything else is going around. You got the Bengals in there, who they lost to. You got the Broncos, who they lost to. Browns are right above them. Steelers right above them, are right where they are. Jags are barely above them. Colts. There's a lot going on, so it's going to be hard pressed. You got so many teams fighting for just a few spots. So, would I like to see the Bills in? Sure, because I think once they get into the playoffs, anything can happen in a team that's as talented as they are, you know, they can make a run. But it's not going to be completely easy. Um, but the fact that they're just simply 1 game behind the Chiefs, you never know what might happen despite the Chiefs' schedule for the rest of the season. Being 1 game behind and having that win is very important. Um, Now, with that being said, and circling back to the Chiefs penalty, like if you heard me when you brought up what Andy Reid said, it's just like these guys do this every single game. Like you always see guys point to the sideline. And if you're that far off, like the initial replay didn't make it look that bad, but when they showed, you can see that overhead shot. It was like, dog, how are you? Like you are egregiously like offside there. Um, and I know there was, I still don't know what Mahomes' argument was. It's like if it's a penalty, you gotta call it. You can't just say like, okay, the timing of it, you can't swallow your whistle, you can't take the game in your hands. It's like, well, I mean, if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. Um, Now maybe if they are offside, and that's something that Andy Reid brought up. Maybe if they are offside and they generally do say, "Hey, you're offside, get back." Okay, fine, but it's still on you to actually get lined up correctly. Um, And it's ironic that he's the one that ended up scoring that touchdown anyway. And yet nobody's really talking too much about him and the rest of the receiving core, which they're at like 30 something drops on the season. That's the main issue with them. They lost Tyreek to, last year. He left after the season 2 years ago, getting traded to Miami. They would go win the Super Bowl without him, which is, hilarious, right? Because it's like you think you lose Tyreek Hill, that's going to take a hit and they go win the Super Bowl. But now they wish they had him. And the only guy you lost in the offseason was Juju and McCole. McCole came back. So it's just like maybe it's because there's more expectations, more of a spotlight. I don't know. But they are playing horribly. Let's just call it what it is. And at some point, and Mahomes, he got to take. Now, obviously, that was a tipped interception, but he's got to take some blame with some of his play as well. And the turnovers, he has to take blame for those. So at some point, you can't just say we got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and we're just going to win, because the past couple of years, you look at any scenario where the Chiefs have the ball and a minute and a half left. We take this exact scenario, forget about the penalty. They would go down, they would score, they get a touchdown and win. Like, that's just not happening anymore. It didn't happen against the Packers. You can bring up the pass interference. They got a bogus call on the penalty on Jonathan Owens. So it's like they're just not going to right now. Maybe they'll do it in the playoffs, but right now they're just not going to be able to do what they've been doing the past 5 years with Mahomes. And right now, if they play the Dolphins again, they probably lose. They play the Ravens, they'll probably lose. I mean, you can say the rest of the AFC is kind of weird, but this just ain't the same team. Simple as that.